College is a scam, and here's why. I believe that in the modern day we all live in, with the accessibility of the internet, rising costs of even attending college, the push many schools do to keep students in the doors, and many degrees becoming obsolete, college is a scam. Now, I know I'm coming out of the gate pretty strongly here, so allow me to elaborate. I am in no way saying that learning isn't beneficial to anyone and everyone. Nor am I saying that your choice to go to college is a bad decision. I am more or less stating that the American education system for higher education has become a business rather than a teaching ground that will foster an actual understanding of what the student is studying. To begin, the internet in recent years has become a nearly invaluable tool that most try to take advantage of. With most information from the degree you are learning about being free to use online, what truly is the difference between online self-learning and going to a brick-and-mortar building where you will most likely learn the same information? Many tend to say you don't know what you don't know, which is true to some degree. But when you turn the right age to start to pursue your higher education, you have some knowledge about what you want to do for a living afterwards. So with the intent to begin learning, how do we begin? This is where I introduce the idea self-directed learning, a practice in which you learn for yourself. In an article called Self-Directed Learning, a brief analysis, it states, in its broadcast meaning, SDL describes a process in which individuals take the initiative with or without the help of others. In diagnosing their learning needs, formulating learning goals, identifying resources for learning, choosing and implementing appropriate learning strategies, and evaluating learning outcomes. When a person positively implements these strategies of self-directed learning, they are more likely to set clear goals for themselves, have a better self-motivation, are more curious and willing to learn, have more self-control, and are more likely to take initiative to learn for themselves. These are just a few of the positives you can develop from SDL outlined in the article An Investigation of Self-Directed Learning Skills of Undergraduate Students. Interestingly enough, the study mentions that students who partake in self-directed learning were found to be more open to ideas and concepts they otherwise wouldn't have come across in the classroom. So with the motivation to learn for yourself and the accessibility of the internet, why not take a second look at personally motivated learning over college? While I was doing personal research behind color theory for my comics, I came across a website with great information that helped me immensely with what I was learning about. And when I excitedly showed the website to a friend of mine, they told me that the website was the exact same one they were learning from in their illustration classes. So if I was able to find that information for free on my own, think about what information in your personal interest you can find for free without a paywall of a college. My second point is something I know we can all agree on. The cost of college is entirely too expensive. As time has progressed, college is becoming increasingly difficult to be able to afford. With the rising costs of, well, everything. College is proving to be something nearly impossible to be able to afford unless you're working, living from home, living with roommates to subsidize the cost of living, taking out student loans, or getting scholarships. The average costs of going to a private college, including tuition, fees, books, and room and board, went from $2,930 per year in 1971 to $51,690 in 2021, according to the data from the nonprofit group College Board. College isn't cheap, and to shoulder the cost of a 4-year school doesn't necessarily mean you will be able to pay back your student loan debt in an appropriate amount of time. While most schools and members from the older generation will tell you that you'll make more money with a degree, you will be saddled with the cost long into your prospective adult jobs. This leads me into my next topic. Degrees aren't always necessary for a job. Now, of course, this excludes doctors and other various majors, but as mentioned in the previous parts of this video, you can learn everything you need to online. Studies show that out of the people who have gone to college, people who have had a high school degree, and people who have dropped out of high school, 59% of those who have a degree are likely to make more than $30,000 a year, while only 20% of people with degrees as well as high school dropouts are likely to make more than $30,000 yearly. But in an article posted by FlexJobs, they state that however, at the same time, employers also admit that possessing a college degree does not guarantee that a candidate will be any better at a job than someone without a degree. In fact, in a research paper put out by Harvard's Business School study, they found that 37% of employers rank experience over degree when searching for new employees. I would like to mention the fact that the world is constantly changing and learning and inventing new technology. More likely than not, those who take on the personal responsibility of learning on their own are subject to those new methods in their preferred subject of study. In turn, this might make the non-degreed person more knowledgeable than the one having to go to school. And if the world is constantly changing, why aren't we sending people back to school to keep learning? If having a degree is so important, this should be implemented so that the degree stays worthwhile. Or do you think old dogs can't learn new tricks? Growing up, many of us were told that our worth was directly tied to that piece of paper. That if we don't get a degree, then we won't get jobs, or we'll be constantly looked over when promotions are in order. But I want to point out that A, your worth isn't tied to a degree, and B, if you're constantly forgotten about when promotions are being handed out, why would you want to work for a company that clearly doesn't care about you? If you are talented at something, that will show potential employers that you are qualified without a college degree. Now, is college very streamlined as far as the type of information they give you? Yes, in a way. That being said, colleges want more students in attendance. Many colleges force students to take general classes to be well-rounded or more knowledgeable about the world around them. But many see this as a waste of time and money, seeing as how these schools directly profit off of making general classes mandatory. Let's not forget that there were a prior 12 years of general classes every student had to go through with their previous education. These general classes do little more than agitate the average student. Another way colleges will push to keep more students in attendance is not to offer the necessary classes to the amount of students the school knows will be signing up for. When I was in college, I was going for illustration, and not most, all of the necessary classes I would have needed to graduate were only offered every other year, but also only had a class capacity of 30 to 60, meaning that I would have been waiting to graduate for years after what I initially projected. The school didn't care if I was learning anything, they only cared about how much money they could make off of me. Let's take a moment to recall the switch everyone made from in-person to online classes. Though not everyone was completely enamored with the situation, but they were still able to complete their degree with their online classes. Many professors took to the online classes, recording their entire semester of learning. So now that we have all these lessons recorded, and students have proven to still be able to learn while online, what's to stop these colleges from turning entirely to online courses people can just pay for and be one and done?
Money.
In 2009/2020, total revenues at degree-granting post-secondary institutions in the United States were $695 billion. Rather than having purchasable courses for those interested in pursuing a degree, the schools would rather charge for tuition, room and board, meal plans, parking, and a number of other fees to make more money than a one-and-done purchase. So with all of these facts in mind, I truly believe that learning has become a dead art for these schools to profit off of. In his book, Academy Adrift, sociologist Richard Arum of New York University reports that 45% of undergraduate students show little advancement in their ability to think critically, reason, or write well after their first 2 years of college. Basically, half of the students learn almost nothing in 3 essential areas. This in point is due to lack of caring from these universities, as well as lack of debate and differing ideas to what students are learning. As mentioned previously, self-directed learning would help you immensely develop these skills due to having to be open to new ideas in order to actually learn. But with lack of opposition, students are fastly proving that there is relatively no information being retained in an understandable and cognitive way. Rather than impressing new knowledge and ideas onto a willing student base, schools rather seem to be interested in what students have to offer them instead of the other way around. What is the solution to this issue? A lot of people really hate the idea of having to learn alone, or struggle with proper techniques to efficiently retain information. I believe that while we are in our formative younger years, we should be taught how to start thinking for ourselves, rather than for a higher grading system. Teachers should put more emphasis on personal learning rather than following a frankly outdated teaching curriculum that has failed many Americans. College should be a place of higher learning. Rather than stripping students of their money, they should be helping students become the best they can be while giving differing viewpoints and streamlining learning to a more more extreme degree. I understand that the world is not perfect, but we as a collective should be asking for more from these institutions if we are paying an arm and a leg for the information. I personally like learning on my own, and while it might take me longer to pick up the skills necessary for a job than college would, I still have the skills regardless. I really want to impress the idea that higher learning isn't wrong to want to learn. But with the constant advancement of technology, the rising cost of attending college, experience being more valued than a degree, as well as the establishment's incessant need to keep students attending, I believe college is a scam. But hey, you don't have to believe me. I'm just some chick on the internet.